we finally made it, and that was my little excuse for a countdown, but we'll get there. So, hi, Shirley. Thanks
Hello.
for being here, and thanks for everybody else for being here. I can't see the chat right now, but anyway, what we're going to work with today is basically what I discovered from the the disappearance is right from the start. Jerry McCann, first of all, claimed abduction, and of course
Lizzie,
yeah.
Lizzie, sorry for interrupting you, but it's not showing up on YouTube.
I can see it.
Okay,
on another one. Can somebody else confirm?
Yeah, let's confirm, because maybe it's just me then.
From the disappearance.
Okay. Sorry, that was just me. I needed to refresh. I was having a moment. Sorry. You were
right.
You were doing so good, and I totally ruined it. I'm sorry.
No. That's good. So no problem. So anyway, as I was saying, that's funny. Yeah, the first thing he claimed was abduction, and we all know that the more times a word is used, the more likely that everybody starts to believe it. It becomes believable. It's like the first thing you hear and the first thing you believe is generally the thing that you will defend after that. So if you're told it's an abduction, even if you're told afterwards that okay, there's lots of issues that may not be an abduction, you tend to defend. You don't like to admit that you could have been wrong. Not everybody I'm talking to anyway, but you know what I'm saying? That's like a human condition. But the other thing that happened, and I was curious because how it happened when they started saying things about the police that really discredited them, and yet in some interviews they were saying the police were okay. But overall, we all know how they discredited the Portuguese police, and that is something which actually, until this week, when I was just running through a few things with Shirley, I had no idea how passionate I am about this. What they've done to the police, to Gonçalo, to Portugal. It just gets me. It really did. And that's why initially I'd started on a different topic. Usually I can't give an idea of the topic I'm going to do the following week. And it's a good job because I start on a topic and then I get wound up into other stuff and I totally change it. So anyway, that's basically what we're going to discuss today. Now, of course, I've got my absolute dedication to Chris and Kim because, as I keep mentioning, they were my inspiration, because without them, I probably would not be doing this. So I'm really happy about that. Other things we could do, if there's anybody, by the way, who would like to come up as a guest, that would be absolutely super. You don't have to, you can come on as a black square. That would be great. Or if you've got questions, just ask it in chat, and Shirley will make note of it and she'll ask me later. Now, before I start, I'd just like to, we all need a moment, and I'd like just a little peaceful moment for everybody.
When you're weary, 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 when you're weary When tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side. Oh, when times get rough and friends just can't be found, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, I will comfort you. I'll take your part. Oh, when darkness comes and pain is all around, like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me down. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will lay me Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine. Oh, if you need a friend, I'm sailing right behind. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will ease your mind. Like a bridge over troubled water, I will ease your
Well, I'm sure you'll agree. Scott Greenwell gave me permission to use that song way back when I first started doing videos, because copyright meant that either it would get a strike or couldn't be played and blocked in countries. So he gave me permission to use his songs, and I think he just does a wonderful version of that. Also, I see that Carrie has given you the link to his channel. And if you get a chance to listen, I think is it Pretty Woman? Oh, I can't remember which one. I think it's Pretty Woman. He does a superb job, absolutely superb job. So anyway, thank you, Scott, for allowing me to use your voice. He's from Texas, a military chap. Lovely, lovely chap. So thank you. So anyway, let's carry on. Now, first of all, there is, although this was dedicated to the police, I think the actual concept that the McCanns have tried to brainwash everybody into thinking the police and Gonzalo are terrible, incompetent. They've also used the same technique on those of us that actually are exposing the files. And in my particular case, this was why I'm here. And this is why I started the YouTube channel, was to get the information of the files over to the UK public, because they are prevented from seeing the files. So this was a phone call. Hold on. As I was saying, I get 1 or 2 phone calls a week. What do they do? Phone me in the middle of a live. Anyway, the thing they do also is to call us trolls just because we want to expose the truth. So that then once we've got this name, you know, there's trolls, there's whatever. Once we've got this name, everybody immediately thinks it's bad connotation, and don't want to believe us. And that's why they've done that. And that's why I've kind of included it in this particular live, not because we were, you know, we're close to or represent anything of what the police and Gonzalo has done, but because it's how they have manipulated people before we even started. Anyway, just to start, I'm going to, I did a couple of videos about what the McCanns consider us as being. Now, the one thing I wanted to address from actually a previous live that I'd mentioned is that this channel, there's no income from this channel. I don't, it's not monetized, there's no Patreon, no anything. And we have, prior to the last 2 years, been fairly dormant. I've been missing in action for a couple of years, so the channel went dormant, and I'd love to get it back going how it used to be. And this is not for anything for me. In fact, here I've taken a screenshot so you can all see that we actually don't get money. There's no income. We've actually had more than 15 million views, and we currently have 15,000 subscribers. I've never asked for subscribers, but I do suggest now, if you are able to, not only so that you can be notified when our lives come on, but also because it helps bring the channel further up the scale, the algorithms kick in, and we can get more information out to the UK public. So I'm going to start with a video, which there's two videos. I just want you to see them and recognize this is who they suggest we are. And I will find it. So yeah, so this is what the McCanns tell everybody about us. Now keep in mind, this was back in 2011, so it was kind of 2011, 2012. It was kind of prior to Facebook. So at that time, we didn't use our real names, and that's hence they said faceless, whatever. But anyway, I think you can all understand and feel quite angry at how they talk about us.
Someday soon, I don't know when, the world will come crashing in.
Opinion on you and what happened to Madeleine appears to me from the outside to to be split right down the middle. There's no shades of grey here. It's black and white. But, well, again, no, maybe I'm wrong. And
I think you're right, but I don't think it's 50-50, thankfully.
Well, okay, fair enough. But it is black and white, and it is either you are completely innocent and you are living the worst nightmare any parent could, or you are somehow complicit in the disappearance of your daughter. How do you deal with that? Not just that one or two people might think that, but that a significant number of people think that.
And I just wonder, do you know any people that say that? Because the people that actually send us letters or convey those feelings to us are not particularly nice people, to be honest. I mean, the letters we get are really nasty.
Really?
And I just find them really hard to comprehend, and I've never met anybody like that in my life who would be as, I don't know, callous, really, to be honest. So I don't really respect their judgment.
But you have to open yourselves up to these people to do what you're doing, which means that
I mean, we've been through, we went through this with Maida Guido. I don't know, and I can't imagine anybody who knows the facts and who's actually familiar with the actual evidence who could hold that opinion. And it's certainly not what we experience. We know there's a minority, primarily on the internet, and we're not the only people that experience it.
Jerry, ignorance is primarily uninformed. That's the whole point of ignorance, and that's how it manifests itself.
The anti-McCanns, to give them a name, are a very, very small minority. And I think a proportion of them are quite warped and spend a lot of their life. Kate's talked about it in her book, Some of these people get very sad, empty lives if that's all they can do.
Yeah, isn't that nice? We are considered warped. How do you feel about... Oh, no, you weren't in the McCann case at that time, were you, Shirley? So you're not warped.
Well, I'm warped by proxy because, I'm learning all this. So I'm feeling the same way. So, yeah.
I do love how you've really taken an interest in the case, and you've listened to Mark's podcasts, and you sat through me the other night going through a few of the videos.
It was definitely interesting, yeah.
Yeah, and there's one thing that I do have to point out about the videos is that they're not short and snappy. I didn't go for I mean, I wanted the channel to be successful, but I didn't want views for the sake of getting views. You know, I just needed for it to be successful. So any of the videos that I did back in 2011 too, I didn't have any fancy apps to be able to, you know, do anything. Everything I did was manually done, and manual, you know, the text written out manually. And and actually a couple of the videos today are very text oriented, but that is a lot to do with the fact that I rely on what the files tell us, and I have taken portions of the files, particularly the video about the police and what they actually did that night, and or actually not just that night, overall. So yeah, there's a lot of text, but it's the kind of videos that, although I've got lots of views on them, I often wonder whether people actually do take time to actually look and see what the police did. It was an amazing, amazing effort. And anybody that tells you any different obviously doesn't know the facts. So before I go on to that, Jerry had mentioned in there about some of the things Kate had said about us in her book. So here's some of those things.
McCanns, to give them a name, are a very, very small minority, and I think a proportion of them are quite warped and spend a lot of their life. Kate's talked about it in her book, you know. Some of these people get very sad, empty lives if that's all they can do.
Someday soon, I don't know when, the world will come crashing in. Don't think twice, say I'll be around. Turn your back, someone's gonna let you down. Know that it's true. Nobody led you on, left that to you. Now you'll be alone when the sun comes up. Tattered little dreams and a broken cup. Then you'll have to trust yourself. Don't believe in any more lies.
I think there's just a small minority now, and you know, there's a certain group out there who this is their job really, is to pick on a vulnerable family, and I'm sure after us they'll move on to another family.
Hear about is the number of people who are on the internet who conduct hate campaigns are very small, and I would like to see those people have their life scrutinised the way that ours has been.
You know, Mark, the nasty people are really in the minority, and these are the people that hide behind the computer screens and send the anonymous letters. But as Jerry said, we'd like to know who these people are, really.
Someday soon, I don't know when, the world will come crashing in. Don't think twice, say I'll be around. Turn your back, someone's gonna let you down. Know that it's true. Nobody led you on, left that to you. Now you'll be alone when the sun comes up.
So I think, did any of you recognize yourself in there? Low life, scum. It's just awful. And this is what the McCanns used to, I'm sure there were several reasons they decided to call us that, but I think the very main one was to discredit us from the start, lump us all under one title, and that's it. So now on, we aren't considered credible. Now, I think before I go to the actual police one showing exactly what they did that day, I think I'd like to show first of all what they have done to Gonzalo Amaral. Absolutely disgusting. And what happened was that at one point during the early days, Gonzalo was in a restaurant, in the Calvi restaurant, with one of the other chaps. I can't remember who it was right now. And a photographer and a journalist came in, and ultimately they were apprehended. And from what I understand, their actual camera and they were stopped anyway. Maybe I sometimes find it difficult to find the exact words, but they were stopped. And what happened, because he was seen in that pub or the restaurant, it became the one thing that spread and spread. And this actual video shows you exactly what happened. And he makes me laugh because he said, they're accusing me of drinking whiskey. He said, that's not true. He said, if they'd have said beer, they would have been right. So anyway, this is the video that, and this is where, and I think you can tell from the song, this is where I have this passion for Portugal. I won't say I feel protective of it, but I just, anyway, let me play it.
A stream of negative stories about the Portuguese police investigation was now appearing in the British press. They even took secret photographs while the police were on their lunch break.
The British went across the line, the story of the big delayed lunches in Portimão, but then they wouldn't say that the Portuguese police was working, until 4 a.m., for instance.
When they're running down my countryman, they're walking on the fighting side of me. Yeah, walking on the fighting side of me. Running down the way of life, I'm fighting and fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song I'm singing be a warning. You running down my country, man, you walking on the fighting side of me. They love our milk and honey, but they preach about some other way of living. When they're running down my country horse, they're walking on the fighting side of me. Yeah, walking on the fighting side of me. Running down the way of life, I'm fighting in and fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song I'm singing be a warning. When you running down my country, man, you walking on the fighting side of me. Yeah, walking on the fighting side of me. Running down the way of life, I'm fighting and fought and died to keep. If you don't love it, leave it. Let this song I'm singing be a warning. When you running down my country, man, you walking on the fighting side of me.
I think you can understand why that makes me so crazy to think that that's what happened. And the British press took it, ran with it. And I think one of the worst, for anybody that read the British press at the time, I think it was the Daily Mirror, Tony Parsons, he was one of the worst. And in actual fact, I had inspiration for that video from one of our forums, and I'm sure many of you recognized a lot of those forums from that went through on the other video. There was somebody, I didn't know actually who she was. She was just known as Winnower, and she did a really great blog and described that scenario, which is what I based that video on. But this, just to give you a quick idea of some of the things that was said about the police and Gonçalo Amaral. Just look at how many articles that actually referred to him. 45 articles referred to him as inept. And the lunch was in 42 articles. 220 articles mentioned that he was sacked or fired. He wasn't. He was transferred back from the Maddie case and back to Faro. And later he chose to quit and, of course, write his book. But he was in charge of southern Portugal. He wasn't just a cop that came in to help with Maddie. He was the man at that time that was covering everything. And I mean, just it's just awful. And these are some of the names they called him in the UK press. Dishing dirt, making stuff up, feeding smears to the press, spends hundreds of pounds a week at the Carvey fish restaurant. I'm sure he didn't, but we know he didn't. Biased, corrupt, clueless, leaked information to the media. I mean, do they not forget that a lot of the media, a lot of the police had to talk to people in the public, and those public would have passed it on to the press if they, you know, discovered anything that the police were asking them about. You know, it's just a shame. Worked only 4 hours a day, dirty tricks. His career was in tattered. And pigs fitting up their parents, clowns, cruel, stupid, spiteful clowns, bunch of clueless amateurs. This is aimed at police. You know, the police that give up their lives to look after us and take leering bumpkins, always what they call the Portuguese citizens, sardine munchers. And that began when Tony Parsons said about the Portuguese ambassador to Britain, if you can't say something constructive about the disappearance of little Madeline, then you just keep your stupid sardine munching mouth shut. Isn't that just awful? A scathing attack by Sir Richard Branson on the Portuguese media. The Portuguese press have behaved abysmally, fed inaccurate stories by the Portuguese police, which all turned out to be a load of garbage, he told the Observer. Well, that's, as we all know, that's the truth of what happened. It's in the files. And at one point, there was, during the hearing back in 2010, Gonçalo was asked about the McCanns, and he was quoted as saying something rude towards the McCanns. And it turned out, of course, even Martin Brunt recognized it as being a misinterpretation of the language. They didn't understand the language, and it took quite some time for the BBC to finally admit that they'd got it wrong. And I actually have a couple of videos on that, but the music I used meant that they blocked it, and it's a silent video, so I don't like silent videos. Excuse me. So anyway, at this point, I think I'd like to go to what basically is the main portion of why I'm doing this live, apart from, of course, Gonzalo, which we'll get to with his book and what happened with that, is I'd like people, if they could, I know it's a lot of text, but it really is taken directly from the files and really shows us exactly how the police responded that night. And let me see. Yeah, how they responded that night, and it was amazing. I mean, for anybody who hasn't actually looked at the files to see exactly how they responded, I did a timeline. I actually went through every timeline, every statement, put everything in order, and I was totally shocked. So this is, as I say, there's a lot of text, but I think it really tells and explains and confirms that they were not inept at what they were doing.
I met people who didn't go to work for more than a week because every day they were down on the beach searching the streets.
And one of our friends alerted both the resort manager and the police. And
that was within 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, it was all done very quickly. And
testimony of the Ocean Club's manager, when the GNR patrol arrived on location, the child's father threw himself at the officer's feet like a praying Arab, completely out of control over his daughter's disappearance. The same scene was repeated, according to the officers, in the couple's bedroom. It was past midnight when the GNR warned the Polícia Judiciária. I was immediately informed and took the appropriate measures. Searches were carried out in the region. The Spanish authorities were warned and the borders were controlled. The largest search operation ever to be carried out in Portugal was organized. During several days, hundreds of officers from the GNR, firemen, volunteers, and members of the Polícia Judiciária thoroughly searched over 200 square kilometers. A gigantic search operation. No search in Portugal had ever included such means and so many people. Everything is checked and checked again. The borders were watched. All sorts of vehicles are searched. The effort does not succeed. The child does not appear.
Now, I'm sure there's lots of you that didn't realise, that haven't read the files and studied that particular piece, how involved the police were right from the start. And to hear the McCanns saying, well, they did nothing. We were alone at 6:30 or something in the morning. There was nobody around. Well, there was dogs. There was police with dogs. There was somebody there all night. There was somebody who saw them. One of the police officers saw them at 7 o'clock that morning. And if they were just out for an hour, I think, and during that time, if you look at the phone pings, you'll see that Kate was on her phone most of the time. She wasn't running through hedgerows and in searching, as you will see is claimed in this next clip from the video.
Was just exhausted, shattered. He was beside himself, giving a few interviews early that morning.
This family friend speaking on GMTV earlier says the family's frantic.
They've been looking themselves, they walked along the hedgerows and they've been out shouting, but there's nothing else they can do.
Did you, as a mother, Kate, just sometimes think, I've got to go and be out there with them, I want to go and just physically look as well?
I mean, I did. Might not be physically searching, but we've been working really hard. And
they've been looking themselves, they walked along the hedgerows and they've been out shouting, but there's nothing else they can do unless they get some support from the police over there or the police here.
That's Jill Rennick.
We were expecting a metropolitan type response, and I remember saying to the officers, where's the helicopters? I want helicopters with heat-seeking equipment. And, and the officer kind of laughed at us and said, this isn't, we don't have a Royal Navy and this thing. And you just want everything done. And you want the world to stop and scream. And the response, was slow. And that's been one of the hardest things for us because, Madeleine could have been moved very easily, and the Spanish border's only about 90 minutes away, and obviously you're on the Mediterranean, and one of the aspects of why we are campaigning internationally is because she could have been taken anywhere.
What's your opinion about Portuguese police? Do you think they've worked properly?
Absolutely. Without a doubt, no doubt whatsoever. I know the way they work.
and I have full confidence in them. And no other police from any other country, however advanced, modern,
neither the British,
nobody could take it any further. They're among the best in the world. Yes, oh yes, they are.
Now, I'm sure many of you caught on a few things there, and one has to ask, who was Jerry talking to? Which officer was he talking to? Which Portuguese officer was he talking to that told him that Portugal didn't have a navy? That is so shocking. Obviously, well, unless there is a Portuguese officer that doesn't know there's a navy, obviously that's a lie from Jerry McCann. Yes, there were helicopters, as you could see. This was their effort to have everybody believe that the police didn't do a thing, and I think you can see even up to now that they put in a tremendous amount of work that night and the days following. And the other thing he mentioned, which I think many of you may have spotted, is that of course they're on the Mediterranean. Well, no, Jerry, it's the Atlantic. But anyway, that now this one, I really like. Sometimes I hesitate to putting the videos on with a lot of text, but by the same token, it's either the text or it's me, and I think the text can explain it a lot better than me. And I think it's something important to see from the files exactly what was put into that investigation and what they did.
and no other police from any other country, however advanced, modern.
Neither the British.
Nobody could take it any further. They're among the best in the world. Yes. Oh yes, they are.
So it's just astounding how anybody could claim that the police did nothing. And the reason behind that is, as we know, that the investigation, the police files, are not easily available in the UK. And Jerry and Kate have done everything they can to stop anybody putting them into the public. There's several different people that have been sued or threatened, or because that's the one thing. And I believe the one thing they fear the most is for the UK to find out about the truth, the facts. I think they fear that more than anything, and I think that's why they've used so much of the donated money into preventing that, because they certainly haven't done it to search for Maddie. And I was going to show you one of the videos where it shows how they've spent £100,000, and from what we can understand, it looks like it came out of the search fund. £100,000 to translate the files. We already have them translated, but they obviously felt they needed to scrutinize it, but they haven't released it to anybody. And I think one of the really astounding things to me is that they won't allow anybody, any of their supporters, they won't allow them to even question the files. And this comes from the rules in their Find Madeleine page, a group. Do not ask questions about the investigation. We will not post investigation information on an open page. Now, doesn't that tell you that they just don't want anybody to know about the investigation? It's pretty disgusting, absolutely disgusting. So this, I think, don't forget to save any questions that you have. I'm just trying to work my way through where I'm going to head next, because I think we need to address Gonzalo Amaral and his book. And what happened was, once the police files were released, Gonzalo was still actually in the police at that time, but he chose to leave. He chose to leave. I can't remember the exact month. The police files were released in July and August. And he chose to leave the police force at that point, which gave him the opportunity to publish his book. So now the book was translated by one of our members, an absolute great person, Anna S. She translated it for all of us to see. And it's been up for many years. I don't know if Anna's here, but I've asked her if she'd like to come on as a guest once we've done with some of the videos. That would be great. So Anna, if you're here, I think everybody would love to hear about your effort to translate that book. She translated it all and had it online for many years, but it's had to be taken down for now. So although this video does mention about the book, it's not available online. At least it's not supposed to be available online. Let's put it that way. So here we go.
In September, a temporary injunction was slapped on sales of Mr. Amaral's book, The Truth of the Lie, after a complaint by the McCanns. In the book, Mr. Amaral claimed that Madeleine was dead. The McCanns said his thesis had hampered the search for their daughter, dissuading Portuguese witnesses from coming forward with information. Mr. Amaral also wrote that the McCanns had played a part in concealing her body after a tragic accident. Her parents said such claims had caused them indescribable distress and suffering.
This book is now illegal. I cannot read this book anymore. I cannot buy it. I mean, I can read it because I already have it. If you want to read it, you cannot find it. And tell me, is there any justice about that? Is that going to bring Madeline back?
People spoke against a backdrop of hecklers.
Freedom of speech should not outweigh the rights of human beings. You know, they should not outweigh the rights of our family, of children, for respect and protection of reputation.
What is in the book is what came out in the investigation.
Upon this beach I see a million grains of sand, and I believe we are destiny, bound to survive against all odds. After the rise, I will fall, out beyond this barren surround. I cry without a sound, out where the truth lies. I will follow my eyes into the sun. Sometimes I lie awake, I dream of everyone who walked the path I take, who ran beneath the sun. And I believe it's my destiny, bound to survive against all odds. Out where the truth lies, I will follow, out beyond this barren surround. I cry without a sound, out where the truth lies, I will follow my eyes into the sun. And I believe we are destiny, bound to survive against all odds. Out where the truth lies, I will follow, out beyond this barren surround. I cry without a sound, out where the truth lies, I will follow my eyes into the sun, out where the truth lies, I will follow, out beyond this barren surround. I cry without a sound, out where the truth lies, I will follow my eyes.
As well as trying to gag Mr. Amaral, the McCanns are also asking for £1 million in damages.
But you claim that the finding of Madeline has been damaged with all this Gonçalo Amaral thesis. What I'm asking you, if this decision will be something like you wish that happened, do you think that after that, after this step, it will be better for you?
I think it'll be a step in the right direction. It's about Madeline. It's not about us. It's about this girl. She's missing. What's important is the judge's decision. I think that is the objectivity of it, not biased opinion. You know, evidence has to be looked at objectively. There is no evidence Madeline's dead.
When you say that someone who accepts that there was an abduction is also biased, it's just one side of the question.
obviously all possibilities have to be considered, and they were considered. One was pursued much more aggressively than any other lead. But you know, we weren't there on our own, we weren't in isolation. There were many, many people around us. There are many different witnesses that seem to get forgotten about, and only negative testimony seems
But that is part of life, isn't it? There's always someone who has a different opinion.
We're standing here in front of you, we're visible, the abductor is not. We need to find that person and those that are responsible.
What evidence do you have that there was an abduction? Can I ask this question? Because you say that Amaral doesn't have...
I know more than you do.
I'm not saying that I don't know anything. I'm just standing from a point of view where I don't know who to believe. I just want evidence, like you say.
Where is the child? We're looking for that evidence. Where is the child? What other explanation can explain how she's not here?
Other people who have advanced other explanations.
Okay, any other
Isn't
questions?
That's why we're here.
Because we've got a flight to catch.
Just awful how they could just come along and claim that just because it hampered the search for Madeleine, he wasn't allowed to publish it, and they actually had it removed. It was I do have a video somewhere, but it was actually removed, and they held on to, I think, about 7,300 copies. And even when it was overturned, they wouldn't return the copies. I don't know how long it took for them to return the copies. But yeah, there's no, you can't actually read it on the internet, supposedly, let's put it that way. Anna was asked to take her book down, which she did. And she did such a great job. She did such a great job, and I don't know what to say. She translated from the French version, so I think anytime you get translations, there's always slight differences. But the point is, along with the book, they also did a documentary. And what I found interesting was the day the documentary was shown on the Portuguese TV stations, I actually was in contact with Nancy Grace's office, and there was her producer. She was well known. I think she did the film about the two brothers that had killed their parents or something. I can't remember. Anyway, I was in contact with her. I found her. She was really, really interested in it. She really wanted all the information, and she really, it looked like it was a go to have Nancy Grace deal with it. And I couldn't believe it. 10 minutes after my phone call, I got an email back to say that they weren't going to deal with it for now. And I think that tells a lot. She hadn't had time to even go over or explain anything of what it was about. And I think she got the chop right there for a reason. And I think we all know the reason. So if you actually wanted to find the documentary on our channel, now the thing is with the channel, if you go onto the main page of the channel, for some reason, if you scroll down the videos, only I think only about 100 of them show in the newest ones down to the oldest. But if you go on the side, you can click oldest to newest, and that gives all of the videos that are available. I've had some removed or whatever, but basically there used to be about 400 and something videos. So so just scroll through and you can see this it stands out, so you'll know what it is. It's the documentary based on the book, and it's absolutely, if you haven't watched it, it absolutely is worth watching. It's there is a transcribed version. Well, all of this is transcribed, but there is actually, I can't remember her name, she actually did a version where she actually talks, so that for those that don't like reading the text. But anyway, on our channel, this is the one to watch. And actually, I think we've had 1.5 million views on it. It's, or 1.25, it's something like that. Everybody loves it. So what happened, at this point, the McCanns were very happy that the book was banned for a while. And then shortly after, it was overturned, so that it was able to be sold, and it wasn't illegal to sell it anymore. One thing that Gonzalo was overjoyed, obviously, and I think I've got this video which tells you, shows you how much impact it was having at that time, how much impact it was having on his life. And out of the 40 videos that I've got listed here, which I'm not going to play them all, I'm just trying to find the one I wanted to use for it. Okay, we'll try. Oh, before I do, this one is Sandra Felgueres, who has changed her opinion in so many ways now, which is rather curious. But this was an interview she did with them, where they basically accused Gonzalo as just doing it to make money, which we all know is not true, because he suffered tremendously. So.
You've asked Gonzalo Amaral to pay you 1 million euros for damage, for defamation, for example. Do you need that money to finance the campaign?
The reason why we've taken action against Gonzalo Amaral is the damage that he's done for Madeleine. That's our main focus.
Which motives could he have to make up all this story?
We can't speak for Gonzalo Amaral.
But I presume that you think something. Why should an investigator make it up, a story?
There's obviously been financial gain, hasn't there?
You think that he made this with a commercial perspective?
You'd have to ask him to get the
That's your impression.
It's a possibility, isn't it?
You think that Gonzalo tried to win money playing with your child's life?
We have to wonder why an ex-PJ inspector would want to convince the population that Madeleine said with absolutely no evidence whatsoever. And that question should be asked.
That's totally disgusting. Totally disgusting. I'm sorry. That's where it's going now. Is I think most of us know that Gonzalo suffered, you know, from from the repercussions of all this, but it's quite shocking to see exactly how much he suffered. And I think this next couple of clips should give you an indication. And
McCanns are trying to get a permanent ban on the book written by a former police chief who claims Madeleine is dead.
Nós estávamos à espera que eles fizessem qualquer coisa, fizeram-no agora. Portanto, é a altura certa para avançarmos com o tal processo, para se discutir o próprio processo da média, porque é preciso não esquecer que há muitas diligências para realizar.
A família McCann decidiu processar Gonçalo Amaral por difamação. A ação baseia-se no que o antigo inspetor revela no livro Medi, a Verdade da Mentira, publicado em 2008.
Também vamos a tribunal de outra forma. Eu vou processar os McCann, aí sim por difamação e também por denúncia caluniosa e falsas declarações.
Já este ano, a família McCann fez na Praia da Luz um documentário para televisão, que pretende ser o contraponto da tese apresentada em livro por Gonçalo Amaral, a da morte acidental da menina no apartamento de Lagos.
Over the last 2 days, I think you've heard a lot about Mr. Amaral's thesis that Madeleine is dead, and I hope you've also heard that there is absolutely no evidence to support that thesis. I think it is particularly disappointing that certain police officers within Portimao, who considered us as possibly involved in Madeleine's disappearance, have not been able to change their mind despite a lack of evidence.
I think the most important thing to say is that the evidence that's been presented by the PGA and the prosecutor to the judiciary, and the judiciary, having reviewed all of the evidence, have said that there is no evidence that Madeleine is dead and there's no evidence to implicate us in her death.
Un instant comme frâne les roses, on me dit que le temps qui glisse est un salaud, que de nos chagrins s'en fait des manteaux, en tout cas ma vie, que...
Não há limites, a liberdade de expressão tem que existir sem limites. Toda a população portuguesa, todas as pessoas que escrevem, que falam, estão em causa os jornalistas, está em causa as pessoas que vão à televisão e querem dizer coisas. Não se pode calar as pessoas, não se pode meter uma mordaça. De facto, nós não podemos admitir que as mordaças nos sejam enviadas pela montanha, venham elas da Inglaterra, da Rússia, da China ou até de Cabo Verde.
Encore se responsabiliser,
Não, eu rejeito os dois escravos porque você não acredita na liberdade de expressão. Você acredita na liberdade de distorção.
Eu porquê?
Está bem.
Como é que sabe isso de mim? Investigou-me? Sim.
Mas você investigou-me?
Não, isso era uma figura pública, eu sou
Eu?
anónima.
Por amor de Deus.
Mas pronto, lá ficam a intenção de continuar a ser assim. O senhor não ficou tipo o homem que está orquestrado as relações públicas.
Fine. I'm pleased that we took this action, and I think it will benefit Madeleine, which was our aim.
4 months after their daughter disappeared, the McCanns were questioned as suspects, but were later cleared. Their accuser, Gonçalo Amaral, said outside court that being unable to prove someone's guilt was not the same as proving their innocence.
I think there was another one there, and I got carried away listening and didn't prepare it.
Os pais de Madeleine McCann querem que Gonçalo Amaral e a mulher façam uma separação de bens para garantir que o ex-inspetor da Polícia Judiciária, autor do livro A Verdade da Mentira, tenha valores suficientes para pagar um pedido de indenização. A mulher de Gonçalo Amaral diz que não vai acatar essa ordem judicial.
O casal McCann interpôs um pedido de indenização de 1.200.000 euros a Gonçalo Amaral pelo conteúdo do livro A Verdade da Mentira. O processo está a decorrer, mas em termos legais, e para garantir que os bens do ex-inspetor da Polícia Judiciária não se perdem, foi feito um arresto dos mesmos. Mas por serem bens comuns também à esposa, o arresto foi recusado. Agora os pais de Medi querem que Gonçalo Amaral e a mulher façam uma separação de bens.
É uma questão de separação de bens. Mas a questão é que todos os nossos bens são comuns e a nossa vivência, a nossa separação, a dar-se, mesmo a separação de bens seria uma fraude. Porque nós vivemos, como toda a gente sabe, em comunhão de bens, de vida, nos últimos anos de dificuldades, de tristezas, mas também de muito. Das alegrias.
Esta medida está prevista na lei, mas o casal diz que não a vai cumprir.
Nem quero pensar que haja em Portugal alguém que me obrigue a separar-me de bens do meu marido. Nem a mim, nem a nenhum casal. Não esperava nenhum tipo de atitude. Eu nunca autorizaria nenhum dos nossos advogados a fazerem tão escandalosa proposta a
de 2009, a providência cautelar interposta pelos McCann ao livro de Gonçalo Amaral foi deferida e nessa altura os pais de Medi obtiveram o arresto dos direitos devidos ao autor do livro, a metade da sua reforma e ainda parte de uma casa que tem
Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine.
I think most of you will find that quite shocking, if you didn't already know, that they asked for Gonzalo to divorce his wife so that they could secure the money in case they won the trial. And by doing that, I'd even forgotten what they'd asked for is half his pension was taken away and half a house in Ohio, or however you say that. It was just disgusting. It left him with so little. He left his family to protect them from all this, even to the point that something happened to his little dog, which was in question. It's just awful. I'm so thankful, and thank you so much for being here, because I think it's helping me understand it. You know, when I look at all this and think, you know, does everybody know this? I think everybody who has an interest in the Madeleine McCann case needs to also know how the police were treated, how Gonzalo was treated, and just how his life was just wrecked. We'll go on to where we move on, but I think in this next clip, it at one point, let me see. At one point, Kate wrote in the Espresso about how Gonzalo was a disgrace. And Gonzalo's wife, Sophia, chose to write her an open letter. And I believe, if I've got the right clip, it should be in this clip here.
There is one real reason why we've come here and why we've taken this action.
If you volunteer to do a reconstruction, wouldn't that open the case?
We want to create information that will lead to us helping fight
That would help Madeleine,
well,
but you think so?
If it does, then, you know, we will participate in it. We need.
You're in Lisbon, you could take that step today, ask for the case to be reopened.
I would like to emphasise that I strongly believe in freedom of speech. But where you have people who are repeatedly carrying out inaccuracies and have been shown to do so, then they should be held to account. That is the issue. I don't have a problem somebody purporting a theory, writing fiction, suggestions.
When you're weary, feeling small, when tears are in your eyes, I will dry them all. I'm on your side. When you're down and out, when you're on the street, when evening falls so hard, troubled water, I will lay me down like a bridge over troubled water. I will lay me down. Sail on, silver girl, sail on by. Your time has come to shine. All your dreams are on their way. See how they shine.
Excuse me, doesn't that really hurt? Help me, Shirley.
I don't because when you showed me those videos, I didn't see that. You did, because you cut the video off before all of that from his wife. I really, actually, I have no words. My heart just really friggin' hurts right now.
Just to know that Christmas, he visited Joanna Cipriano's uncle, the person who killed her. I think, I don't know a lot about that case. I know that there was issues with Gonzalo about that he was charged with something, but it wasn't because he was directly involved. It was just that there was some issues involving his people under him, and he was the one that was responsible. I've got the thing, but yeah, and he would go there, and it just breaks my heart.
Yeah, and you know, and I know Carrie had put a link up to, I think if that's the same one, an open letter. And I'm sorry, I don't know what his wife's name is, but she did
Sophia Leal.
Okay, she did that a few weeks ago, and I was gonna read it right after the live, and I didn't. And holy cow, yeah, I mean, what they have been through, I you know, and all he was doing was his job. I mean, you know, he wasn't trying to frame anybody. He wasn't trying to make any money. All he was doing was his job.
Yeah, and he ended up and I say ended up, I don't know where he's at now. I certainly don't. Well, we'll get into the money issue in a minute, but I know he, or from what I heard, he went to stay with his dad. I mean, he'd lost everything. He'd lost everything, and but his daughters still stand by him. There is one which I will play another time, I think. because I don't want to keep you too long. And I know that this has quite a few little screenshots that I want to show you, is what happened. He lost in the trial. And well, let me play this and you can see what happened.
Remember, tick tock, people, time's ticking away.
Yeah, that's once he'd lost, they'd taken all his money from him. He had no money to be able to get an appeal, and they thought that's it. I'm sure they thought that's it. You know, this is how it's going. What they didn't plan on was the Māori community and all our groups and forums. We got together, put together a GoFundMe. And as you can see from that last video clip, we finally were able to, I think, raise 52,000, more than 52,000 pounds, which was enough to cover the appeal. And it was closed at that point. They didn't continue with gaining money once they'd received the amounts that they needed. It was run by, I can't say it, Projecto, whatever, I'm sorry. And it was one, I think it was his friend that was actually in charge of the Money Moi Te Flores, I think, was in charge. And I do apologize. Keep in mind, it's been like 10 years since I've been dealing with all this. So, you know, trying to remember everything specifically from memory is well, it's not too difficult because I kind of knew a lot at the time, but, you know, little things slip my mind. But I tell you something, and this is the bit that is just amazing. And I have to thank Kerry, who went through and took some of the clips from the donations. I'd totally forgotten it. I mean, Kerry is on top of everything. Thank you so much, Kerry. And thank you, Cherry, who, as I mention every week, from what I know, I don't know for sure, but I think she's probably right there in Heidi Ho Controversy Facebook group, just bumping all the threads that are relevant to this conversation. Conversation is only me, isn't it? But yeah, some of the donations and the words were just amazing. Now I'm just going to start, just because it's here. I don't know that you can read it, but this was mine, and I think I took time to cover everything that I could. You know, once I mean, I do it even when it's free, but when it was important to me to donate. I can't usually manage to donate, but it was important for me to donate. So I thought, well, if I'm going to donate, I'm going to give me what I want to say. And I haven't even read to see what I said, but obviously, Jerry McCann once referred to us as warped minority with sad, empty lives. And as Kate described in her book, faceless, anonymous lowlife, locked away in bedrooms, sad lowlife who empty their friendless lives, one of the nasty people hiding behind computer screens. They were wrong. We're not warped. And with memberships in Facebook groups rising steadily, already reaching close to 100,000, we can no longer be called the minority among those that have read the official Portuguese police files. Kate's description of us is so far from the truth. We're not anonymous lowlives that Kate refers to, Facebook requires everyone to use their own names. And I'll probably sound a bit louder because I've got to get closer.
And climb on up in that microphone.
And Facebook pages disprove the friendless, empty lives. I think at one point when I was watching that video, she says they can't be happy. Well, excuse me, I think I'm probably the happiest person I know. But anyway, that's beside the point. I know, I took it personally.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. There's an internet community that care about Maddie and search for the truth. We've studied the police files that were released to the public in August of 2007 and translated from Portuguese by volunteers. And thanks to them, we have an opportunity to see all the details from the police investigation. Kate paid £100,000 from the fund, we believe, to have the files translated, and yet did not release them for others to help in the search. I mean, surely you'd think that they would use the police files to help the search, but we all know why they didn't. We've read and scrutinized all the statements, viewed the forensic photos, and discussed the case for 8 years. It's 13 now, but this was back then. Our opinions are based on knowledge from the investigation, not media spin that the UK public have been subjected to. Expensive PR firms have been hired to change public opinion of the McCanns from hostile to sympathy. And with the media, and the media continues. Is somebody in pain there?
No, it's my little dog. I think the mailman's here. When she hears the mailman truck, she freaks out. So I'm going to go on mute now.
That's okay. That's okay. It was cute. The media continues to print stories that are approved by the McCanns. Once the UK public are aware that the files exist and they have the opportunity to read them, their opinion will be based on knowledge. And then they may start to realize that they have only heard one side of the story, and the perception of the Portuguese police investigation is far from the truth. I encourage everyone to take the time to find out the truth about the investigation and realize it's nothing like the media presented it. Gonçalo Amaral was coordinator of the case, and at times there were 250 officers on the ground. Approximately 1,400 diligences were carried out in less than 2 weeks. And that does not include following up the sightings, which required approximately 3,000 diligences. Officers responded immediately. Forensics and dogs were on the scene within 2 hours. The first dogs that came were just the patrol dogs. The other dogs arrived at 8 o'clock in the morning. And the efforts to contact the airport and all the cars were advised. Now, that was the other thing. Quires, I think his name is, he tried to contact the airport, and there was no response from the airport. He had to get somebody from Faro to drive to the airport to give to let them know not to, to question anybody that comes through with a child. I mean, it's amazing what they did. Anyway, officers stayed all night after being raised from their beds, which they were called out from their beds on the day off. And the biggest search operation in Portuguese history. Nothing like the media portrayed the police and subsequently the perception of the UK public that haven't read the files. Discrediting the police would maybe give justification if the public were to question whether the parents were complicit. But once the UK public have looked at any of the files, they'll realize that they've been fed misinformation about the police, and in particular, Gonçalo Amaral, who wrote in his book based on the information from the files, which was recognized by a judge, and she agreed. This book was not illegal. It was not illegal to say that anything from the files. We all support the man who has suffered greatly in his personal life because of his belief, shared by the investigation, and a bit easier to read, but continues to fight for the truth as I get quieter. We stand by him in the fight for the truth to be exposed. And thanks to Senor Amaral, one day it will. We remember those, oh golly. Jeez. Okay. We remember those that, you can't read that, can you, Shirley? Okay, I'll try again.
Sorry, no, I can read it.
Okay, if you can read it, because...
From the top?
No, just from we remember those. Third of the way down.
We remember those that can no longer join us, but whose efforts will not be forgotten. Linda Ironside, Steel Magnolia, Brenda Leyland, and Don Franks. May you all rest in peace. We are not warped, nameless, faceless lowlifes. We are intelligent, caring human beings, and we are here for the truth about Madeline's disappearance.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so sad. You know, the people we've lost along the way. Ironside did some tremendous blog posts, and she was, I think, with Textuza, and she supported me a lot, and Brenda Leyland, which we discussed on another live. Actually, it's one of the lives that no longer exist. But and Dawn Franks was just one of our members who she just sadly passed one day, and also recently, let's not forget Marion Greaves. There's so many of us so many that are no longer with us, and all they wanted was exactly the same. So just a moment to remember them. But I should get back to some of the amazing support posts with donations. This one from a doctor. I've donated previously completely anonymously with no comment. Then I read Lizzie Taylor's excellent comment below, and whilst I've not put my name into the public domain, I had to donate again and comment this time. Those of us who have, excuse me a sec, those of us who have, who simply want justice for both a little girl and a beleaguered detective, and not trolls, lowlifes, or people with no lives. I have one thing in common with the McCanns, and one thing only, I hope, a degree in medicine. I have professional friends and colleagues, people with degrees in medicine, economics, maths, law, who all feel something is not right about this case and have felt it from the start. Good on you, Leanne, for sticking your head above the parapet and starting this fund. And yes, it was Leanne who started the fund, one of our members, and she went through a lot of aggro because of doing it. But thanks to her, we got the GoFundMe going. That one, golly, I can't read that one, but from a group of company workers and of the legal system who are stupefied with what has happened. Portugal and Great Britain are old allies, but the McCanns and the British tabloids have tried to separate us. We all see perfectly what they're trying to do, freezing Dr. Amaral's assets in order to keep him from defending himself, while they use the millions that were donated by the public to sue him. This is not justice. This is wrong. The McCanns lost 5 of their 7 claims, but the British press haven't reported it. Neither do they report the harsh words used by the judge in relation to the presumed proof. They must pay 60% of the costs, but the British press has not reported it. This small donation is to ensure that this venomous act of hate will not succeed. We believe that one day the truth will be told, although it will be improbable that it will be the parents who did it. Now, they donated £4,000, and from Anonymous in Portugal. It was in Portuguese, translated by Montclair, who again is another one of our members from the Maddie Case Files who did some of the translations. Thank you. An NUJ member. I'm not sure what I should have checked, but of course I didn't. What's an NUJ member? Does anybody know? Jerry Lawton's article today has prompted me to donate again. I'm not an internet troll. I'm a journalist concerned about low media standards and how virtually impossible it is to get anything into print that questions, however gently, the claim that Madeleine was abducted. Good luck this week, Senora Amaral. I hope the hearing is honestly reported.
I just Googled really quick, and and this may not be it, but NUJ is the National Union of Journalists.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know.
There you go. I mean, this is the support he was getting. Good luck, Richard Board. Good luck to you. I'm a retired police officer of some 13 years. Like many others, I have no doubts that what you say in the book is the truth. Support you all the way. Paula Seddon. Kate and Jerry, you damaged the life of my children when they were small, as they thought someone was going to get into their bedroom windows, as their Catholic school told them your Jackanory story and asked them to pray. We had sleepless nights for years and a security routine to check doors and windows before sleep. Their anxiety and distress caused by your lies. I donated £5 back then to the school fund for you, as at the time I thought you were genuine human beings. I cuddled and calmed them as I believed the fiction too. I would like to withdraw that money and give it to a truth teller. The truth will be told. You cannot hide behind pity statements by calling people trolls and haters. People are walking up and realizing your story is full of holes, and had the real story broke back then, my children would not have been scarred or scared by your lies. Isn't that powerful? Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, Carrie, as I say, she took the time to get all these for me and sent them to me, and I managed to, follow through and upload them. And I just glanced over a couple. I didn't fully read them, but wow. This is the support. This is the people speaking out. The GoFundMe. I mean, there was obviously £52,000. There was a lot of people who donated in memory of my mother, a magistrate who died last year. She brought me up to have proper values. At the moment, this is the only way I can do the right thing. Call me a troll if you wish. When the great unwashed called police officers pigs, they responded with, yeah, it stands for pride, integrity, and guts. And you, sir, have those qualities. Well, and there's just a couple more. I just don't want to leave them because there's such great comments. MPS, that I should know, but I don't. An SIO. MPS. From an anonymous but a very large group of British police officers out. Wow, this is the one I think that really hit us. A very large group of British police officers outraged at the way in which an SIO has been treated. This strikes at the very basis of the way investigations would be conducted, without fear or favour, malice or ill will. The world can clearly see where the malice and ill will are in this case. And that was £1,000 thing. Do we know who MPS is? I'm sorry, I really should have done my homework and checked it. But
I'll look really quick.
Meanwhile, I'll carry on. I work with the media. The general consensus was, we know they did it, but we can't prove it. Hopefully, the wheels will fall off soon. I wish you all well. Spread the word. Journalists, doctors, policemen. Another NUJ member. I despair of my fellow journalists writing the rubbish they do about it. You, Senor Amaral, as a freelance, my life is insecure and no paper wants to risk taking a researched article about Madeleine for fear of Carter Ruck. I would love to be able to donate more. And
Carrie said that MPS was Metropolitan Police Service.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I mean, it's Operation Grange is in Metropolitan, but then that's another week. In fact, it was funny because, as you know, I was going to do. I started ready with the fact that I spoke to Scotland Yard, Operation Grange, for quite some time, and I have those the recorded conversation with them, which I wouldn't actually put in public, at least not their portion of it. But when I asked about I asked about the whitewash, and as he said, don't ever think that we will ever let anybody know what the investigation is, what's happening within the investigation. And when he does come public, read between the lines. So basically, although you can accuse or say anything about Scotland Yard, Operation Grange, and most people don't believe that they're legit. You know, I know that was it's always been questioned. When he said that to me, and logic tells me that, of course, they are not going to leak one iota of what they have in their investigation. And the other thing is, are they really getting that money every year for searching for Madeleine? Or is it because they have all the information they need and they're just hanging on until the police, Portuguese police? That's more logical to me. Of course, I could be wrong. I'm one of the few, if not probably the only person that believes in Operation Grange. But it is a fact. They are not going to tell you anything. Nothing. So always keep in mind, regardless of what you hear about them, and that they only had one remit to look at abduction or anything, that could absolutely be true. But do you think for 1 second they're going to leak out anything about the investigation? No. Anyway, I started off. I was going to release some of those conversations with the police, and then I got onto this. And once I started going through some of this, I was just, I took a turn. So I think I was heading somewhere, but I'm not. Oh yeah, we were just talking about the Metropolitan Police. So then we get to the point that, yeah.
I was just going to say something. Carrie made a comment that it goes along with the other post. She says, although we have already mentioned some of our friends we have made during this case, there is another I have to mention, Michelle, such a warm and friendly woman.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. You know, I did mention Michelle on another video. In the neglect, I had one video out about neglect, and it had 23,000 views in it. And the Michelle, one of our admin, I mean, a lovely, lovely girl. Thank you for reminding me. I would never forget her, but you know, while I'm sat here, I didn't think. She was one of our admin, and she was so lovely. And we lost her, I think, October of last year. Just and she promoted the neglect video, which I used to laugh and tell her, you know, like, I think 20,000 of those views were her that pushed it. because she was so great. I mean, it's so sad. Yes, we've lost so many, and I know there are others, and I can't think of them. Excuse me a minute, because I need to have a quick cough. Okay, I think I'm back. So now we're getting to the end, I think. There was one video which I thought I uploaded, and I haven't come across it here. And it was one of my favorite videos, actually. And I used the Queen's "The Show Must Go On." And what had happened was it was held up at some point because, and believe it or not, it might be here, but I can't find it quickly. Believe it or not, they actually asked for a suspension in the trial. They wanted it suspended, which is absolutely something a plaintiff doesn't do. It's the other way around. They obviously knew that he was really ready to go, and but he wouldn't back down. Gonzalo would not back down, and it was decided the trial would go ahead. And that's where apparently "The Show Must Go On" was one of Gonzalo's favorite songs back when he was in university. So it was just so perfect. You know, the show must go. I won't start singing. But yeah, I don't think I've got that one. But yeah, it went through. And finally, have I done that last one? I think. No, that's book. Anyway, he won the appeal. After everything that was, after everything he went through, the appeal, he won it. And that's thanks to everybody that donated, so he was able to win the appeal. And it was amazing. I mean, there's so much involved in this that I'm not familiar with. I'm more of a timelines person, as I've told you. And but I mean, it was just incredible. And as far as I know, now he may have got the money from them. We don't know. But they did appeal to, they did make an appeal, but I believe they had to appeal, not appeal against him, but appeal against Portugal. And, you know, that may involve a lot of time. Maybe it's done and I've missed it. I don't know if Kerry or Cherry or anybody knows if that if he ever did get his money back, the frozen money that they or at least anyway. So yeah, that I think is oh golly, I've really gone on. I really try not to do more than a couple of hours, but I really hope that everybody now knows what he went through. He was our hero. I know I've got it here somewhere. I'll see if I can find it. It doesn't matter. He was a hero.
I have a couple questions for you if you're ready for those.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. I've pretty much covered most of what I wanted to cover, and yeah, I'd love to hear a couple of questions if there are any.
Okay. Well, first, Carrie says in the chat, I've not seen it reported anywhere. So that was her response. So Happy Thoughts asked, the McCanns, have they ever been on a family holiday abroad since this happened? Do you know?
I don't know. Something is telling me that they made a trip to Canada. I think the auntie lives in Canada, and something tells me that they made a trip here, but I cannot confirm that. I do know that the priest from the local Praia de Luz church, oh golly, again, I can't remember his name. Maybe somebody can remind me. He actually, him and his wife do have here in just outside of Toronto in a church. They have a church there. So maybe they come over and visit them. I really don't know, but I don't know for sure that they've actually taken a holiday anywhere. In fact, I think it's been questionable for a couple of years as to whether they actually are still together. I wouldn't like to guess on that, and I wouldn't want to hear somebody just say they're not, because we don't know. But what I noticed was at one of the anniversaries, Jerry didn't seem to be around, and that was kind of odd to me. So who knows? And I mean, it's their life. That's, that's up to them. I mean, it's I don't know how they can live with themselves, to be honest, but I guess it's the children that it is sad.
Yeah. Do you know if Amaral has done any other interviews? Because I know he was on Mark's podcast, and it kind of seemed like it was a big deal that he agreed to do that interview. So do you know if he's done? Has he not really done a whole lot?
No, he doesn't do a lot. He did actually, using probably the same translator, do an interview when he's written another book. And because this particular journalist, I think it might have been Jerry Lawton, I can't be sure though, I would hate to quote somebody who was really not the one who was nice to him. He did gain his trust, this particular person, and I think it was in the Express. And he did do an interview with him and told about writing another book and things like that. So that's the only other interview I can think of, apart from, of course, he's done several interviews in Portugal. We have a lot of them, and I have gone through, somebody has provided me with the translations, and I've gone through and put the translations onto the videos, which always makes me laugh, because I have no idea how I did it. I don't know anything about Portuguese. And in fact, I was talking to somebody who's close to him, and I said to her, can you tell him to every now and again talk about a window, because I recognize window. And if I recognize a word, I can place it in the proper place.
Yeah.
But I mean, an hour's long interview, that was something in the region of 2,000, 3,000 paragraphs at the bottom of each thing. So that was a lot. But wow, I was so proud of myself. And they'd come along and check it. People Portuguese, they'd come along and check it, and I got it right. I mean, how did I do it? How did I put an English translation onto a Portuguese interview, not knowing Portuguese? I honestly, I don't know why I ever did it in the first place, but I'm so happy. How could I do it? I did it. I don't know how. Anyway, I was nominated to do all the ones after that, but I tell you, I tried to do. I wish I could remember his name. I tried to do one of the. I guess he was a police officer. Anyway, but he spoke so quick. There was no way I could do his one. So I had to let that one go. But I tell you something though, and if anybody goes to the channel and sees any of the ones that have been translated, believe me, they are worth looking at, because I would never, ever have spent the amount of time putting that translation together unless it was an important video. There's about 2, I think, that are about an hour long. And one, I think, was the 10th anniversary, and there was another one. But no, he did quite a few in Portugal, and some of them are translated, and a couple of translated by other people. I think Joanna Moray did a few. But yeah. Carrie
said that she thought he did one, or not that he did an interview recently with the when the German suspect was named, and then our piece says yes, he's been interviewed 2 times in June and July.
Oh, okay. Well, see, I've been missing in action, and you know, I never claimed to know all of everything that's been happening. In fact, even at the time, I'm sorry, but poor Kerry and Cherry and Linda and Helen, they were the ones that had to deal with any of the news articles, because I refuse to read news articles. The only thing is maybe I'd check a few comments, but anything that's going on in the media, I don't tend to know much about. So, you know, that's something. Carlos Andros, that's who it was that I spoke too quick. I couldn't figure it out. I gave up.
Emily says that you should try to get Emerald to do an interview with you.
No, he wouldn't do it with me. It was it's nice of you to say. It's difficult to even ask anybody to do an interview with me, because I think you really need to be a little more professional than I am to actually get anybody of any distinction on. And that's not to say if somebody does come on that you're not distinctive. But I mean, I'm gradually learning how to do this, as hopefully you've noticed today, is that I've actually I paid out $10 on special to get some of the basic things with StreamYard. And it's great because I can do what I've done today, as opposed to all this, what I was doing up to now. Well, hang on a minute, I got to go here, click audio, you know, and do all that kind of stuff. I've been able to do it. They limit it to 5 minutes, 5-minute clips. And just my luck, being sarcastic, is a lot of my videos are 5 minutes and 8 seconds. Or 5 minutes and 14 seconds. So I had to split it into 2. But I'm so grateful to you all for being here and taking time to look, because as I say, I didn't really start off to do this particular topic. It just came to me, and I think part of it was when I was showing you the other evening, Shirley, some of the videos, and I started to feel passionate about it again. And you know, and that's why we do what we do. As I've mentioned, this is nothing to do with making any money or anything, because that's not even an issue. You know, when it comes to Madeline, you do not make money from Madeline. It's volunteers put in 4 years or more to translate the files. What right do we have to use those files and start making money from it? You know, Madeline deserves more than just to be somebody to make money from. So that's really important. And that's why I showed you, I didn't need to show you the channel picture, you know, where we don't get any, I don't get any money. It's just to confirm to people that anything I do, and I can only speak for myself, also the people around me, we do it because we have a passion to do it. And we don't allow any videos in our group that make money in any form. They're not allowed. You know, Sherry is really careful on that, because half the time Carrie is not there because she's helping me, but Kerry is great too, to make sure that before we allow any videos to be posted, that they're not getting Patreon or asking for merchandise or PayPal or anything like that. It's just not on. And it's not just me. This is the whole community have always been that way. And I'm really proud of it. I think we all should be proud that what we do is for the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's not how a lot of things are nowadays. You know, it's a sad thing, but yeah, it's definitely from just coming into all of this. It's just about getting the truth out there. I mean, of course, finding her, but you can't find her until you get the truth out there.
Well, I don't think we will ever, and I've never looked at it to plan to ever solve the case. That's absolutely never been an intention. I don't like to think about how she died or why she died or what happened, because there is nothing that that tells us that, you know, that is so I stay away from all that kind of stuff. There's other issues which are quite sensitive, which we tended to not talk about for years. Gonzalo actually has done several videos that do address the issue with the Gasper statements. And talking of the Gasper statements, now, I for those of you who are not aware, I think most people do know, in March, friends who had been on holiday with the McCanns the year before had made a statement to Leicester Police about a rather questionable conversation that Jerry had with his other friend, David Payne, and they were making actions, talking, which were very questionable about Madeleine children. And it was held that their statements were held in Leicester for months and weren't sent to the Portuguese police. Which, I mean, does that not strike you as, here's a child gone missing, there's a questionable actions by the father and by one of the friends that were on holiday at the time Madeleine was missing, and the Portuguese police weren't allowed to see it. Now, I came across something which I've never seen it before from anybody else to suggest it. But when I saw it, it was regarding when Gonçalo Amaral was removed. I found this statement, and then now it's from the paper. It says that he was removed from the case in October after reportedly criticizing British police. And I think there was something to do with, he was talking to somebody that he trusted, and they ended up exposing it. And he claims they held back a potentially important lead for 6 months and questioned their relationship with the McCanns. Leicester Police did not want to comment on Mr. Amaral's allegations. The thing that, when I looked at that, and it's a paper, I mean, it could be wrong, but also sometimes it's based on something and we don't know exactly. Was that something to do with the Gasper statements, that he was questioning why, that he'd heard about them and questioned why they weren't getting them? And what happened is, after he was removed, and as I say, he was not fired, he was not sacked, he was removed for, I guess, because for obvious reasons, it was causing too much aggro. And he went back to Faro and continued his job. He was not sacked, but there were political reasons. In fact, as I recall, wasn't it Brown who heard about him leaving before Gonçalo Amaral left? I think I'm right in saying that. He knew before Gonçalo Amaral, and I think it was his birthday, October the 2nd, that he was removed. I mean, the whole case has so much stuff. Sorry, is there any more? Oh, I'd like... Thank you for still being here. I'm sorry it's taking so long, but I'm really happy, and I really thank you for listening to me today. But there's one thing which I think may be of interest to a lot of you who haven't been to Praia da Luz. One of our friends went there, and her husband was good enough to take a video of inside the Ocean Club, and also alongside the tennis courts. And I think for those of us that have never been there, it's kind of nice to actually see what it was like. So let me remove this picture. I'm getting quite professional, aren't I, Shirley?
You are.
And I've said that the one video, because I kept uploading videos, and a couple of them never made it, and then I didn't know which ones never made it, but I can see the ones that never made it. I'm great at English, aren't I? One of the ones that didn't make it was one of the ones I really wanted to show with The Show Must Go On, but I guess I'll have to do it again next week. Anyway, this is the view through the Ocean Club. Now, this was taken a few years later, and it goes past the tapas. Then, as you see some steps that go up, that was the area that they had for high tea. Then you can see the steps going down, I think, was to the loos, the toilets. And I had never seen before the going through the reception. I had no idea there was another room attached to that reception with exercise equipment in it. Anyway, so here we go. And thanks to my friend's husband, I did check it was okay to get permission to show it. So here we go.
Come on.
Hello.
I just love that. And thank you, Mr. A, for taking the time to do that for us. I think it was a couple of years ago he did that. So I think it's really interesting to get a feel for the place, you know, for us who, and everybody says it's a lot smaller than you actually think it is, but it helps to give some perspective. And there's actually, the other thing I really asked them for, it was quite funny. Well, not funny, just funny that I wanted to get this picture of the tennis courts because of a reason, but I don't think they ever really managed to do that bit, but they did. He did go through the tennis courts, and again, you can see it goes through. You can see where the children's club, not the children's club, the where the infants went, the crash, and just coming up the stairs just to get a feel. I'm going to take myself off mute because I'll tell you why, if I can take myself off mute, I'll tell you why I really wanted a picture of the tennis courts. So this was something I discovered, but anyway, I'll show it, and let's... Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
There's a picture of Madeline with tennis balls, and it looks like the oh, I'll tell you after. Yeah, there was something I discovered. It upset me actually when I did kind of discover it, and I haven't been able to get any proof. Is in the picture of Madeleine with the tennis balls, you can see a water line where it's wet, and the edge of the water line is there. And the tennis picture was supposed to have been taken when they were playing mini tennis, which was Tuesday morning. I believe it was taken maybe another time when the courts were actually cleaned, which would make it wet, in which case the courts were cleaned, I believe, on the Monday. I'm not sure about the Sunday. But anyway, I was... others were suggesting it was a stain that was always on there. And so I had asked if they could just kind of scrutinize the end of the tennis court, which is why I laughed about it. It wasn't funny why I want it, but it was, and we didn't get that. But I absolutely believe, and I'll point it out in an upcoming live, exactly what I do believe. And I did a little bit of research on it, and I do believe that the picture with the tennis balls was taken after the court had been washed, and we have the records of when the court was cleaned and things, or when it rained, and it certainly wasn't washed just before the mini tennis. So anyway, that's another thing. Is there any other questions? And is Anna here? Anna, are you around?
I haven't seen her say anything in the chat.
I know it's a bit intimidating to just pop in and kind of get on and do your bit. It took me a while. If it wasn't for you, Shirley, I wouldn't be doing this. You know that, don't you?
No, I don't.
You kept bugging and bugging. Liz, get up. Liz, get up. And I'm like, no.
I did do that.
Yeah, you tend to do that kind of stuff, and believe me, anybody who's listening, is there anybody else who'd? Although I tell you what, I look at it. It's 2.5 hours, and I think maybe if there is somebody that wants to get up, we should arrange it for. Apart from Anna, because I did specifically ask Anna today. I think we should. Save any guests for another time, because I don't like to go past that 2.5 hours. Is it 3:30? Okay. Yeah, 2.5. So unless there's anything else anybody would like to say, or unless Anna's there and says, you know what, yes, I'll pop up.
Well, I don't see her. There was just a few comments. Jan Peace, she said that I was engaged to a barrister when this happened. We were watching the McCann's behavior. His immediate response was, the parents did this.
Yeah.
And you know, that's coming from somebody whose profession is to not jump to conclusions and not, you know, to wait for evidence or, you know, lack thereof or whatever. But, you know,
I absolutely believe. I think there was lots of us in that case. I'll tell you one incident which really, really shook me up. Now, I've had to remove, there was a Channel 7 in Australia interview that they had, and I've had to remove it, although I think I've got a couple of clips where she turns around to him and says, did you kill your daughter? And I'm sure a lot of people here have actually seen that one. And he responds, no, whatever. And then if we'd have just, and then carries on. Now, back at that time, there was a body language expert that was helping us, and he was involved. We used to ask him questions and things like that. And anyway, I was showing him this video as I was talking to him. And all of a sudden, he said something like, oh my God, oh, and then was kind of like in shock. And I thought, oh, what's happened? What's wrong? He had heard Jerry almost say disposed. And at that point, he knew what the story was. And that just stayed with me. And of course, after that, he wouldn't have anything to do with us. Because I think at that point, he'd kind of believed them to a degree. And again, I think we've addressed this before, is yes, they're grieving, but they were grieving, I believe, because Madeleine died, not because she was abducted. And it was a real grief that they would have had. So that kind of has people believing, because they sound like they're grieving and everything, that they actually believe that it was because of the abduction, but actually it was Madeleine died. I mean, you have to grieve after your child dies, in whichever way you use that grief. But yeah, he would not come on anymore after that. In fact, I don't think I ever heard from him again. I made sure he wasn't upset about something else, of course, because that's how shocked he was. I thought something drastic had happened to him at the house where he was. No, he was just totally floored by Jerry saying that. And I think I do have a clip which we'll use on an upcoming show, but the actual Channel 7 interview, they personally had a lawyer get to me to take it down. So
Carrie just put a link in the chat to it.
Oh, okay. Okay.
It's a YouTube video. It's like 20 some seconds long, but yeah. So she.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I know it's on one of the videos that I was going to show today, because I mean we can use clips. I had the whole interview that they made me take down. Copyrighted me. Got a strike. Got a strike. Yeah, I know what it's like getting a strike. You have to go through copyright school and start answering all these questions. And I'd have Helen and Kerry and Sherry on the other end helping me answer them. What does it mean? What does it mean? What's the answer? But now you can Google the answers and get them anyway. I don't know what happens if you don't get any right. Maybe you, I don't know. Oh yes, it's such fun doing videos. But I hope you've enjoyed them. I hope you've heard a lot that maybe you haven't seen for a long time. I mean, my videos are based on clips and real stuff. And a lot of them have got lost over the years. You know, they're taken from full interviews that maybe people don't want to watch the full interviews. And I've taken it, you know, I really hope that some of these and some of the other videos, I mean, go to the channel. Always remember to click oldest to newest. And I've got a topic on everything except the Smiths, which I never actually did a video on the Smiths. And I'm to be honest, I don't think I've really focused on the fund, although I did a lot of research on the fund, figure wise. I've got odd references to the fund, but basically every topic going, I think as soon as it came up, I was there doing my videos, and poor Kerry and Cherry were busy working away while I was doing the videos. But yeah, so well, was there any more?
No, there's just been a few things. I mean, most of the questions that anybody had were discussed in the chat.
Yeah. And thank you, everybody. I mean, I really, really mean that, because I mean, even if we only got 10 people here or 5, even just you.
Right, because you know, you had me mesmerized for a couple hours the other night.
And I tell you, everybody, between Kerry and Shirley, they really have to put up with me. And also, let's not forget our mods, and they have to put up with me. And some of them, sometimes we even forget to mention them. Don't we, Hannah?
That reminds me, I put a comment in the private chat again where I told you to check for Suzanne every week.
Check. I never look at that. I'm too busy.
I know. We talked about that. You were going to start looking at that like when the videos are playing. But anyway, so.
Well, I can start looking. But you see, when I've got my long list of videos and graphics and backgrounds and everything else, I can't see chat. It's in the place where the chat is, and if I move it, I think some of it might disappear. But no real excuse, because Suzanne, I mean, is she in there?
Yep, she's in there.
Hi, Suzanne. I'm sorry if I forgot you at any time, along with Hannah. Hannah knows how it feels to be forgotten.
Well, it's not that you necessarily forgot Suzanne. You have forgotten to give her a wrench. Are you just staring at the screen right now? I'm like, what just happened?
I was having a cough and I couldn't tell you I was leaving.
Oh. No,
I'm on my own. Pardon?
Yeah, you were gonna give Suzanne a wrench, and every week I tell you in that little private chat, and you don't read it. So
I've got messages. I'm the world's. I'm not even going to go there. But no, what happens, you see, is because I'm on my own, so I never get to speak, and I kind of make up for it right now. But in general, I don't get to speak, and what happens is usually within the first few seconds of me talking verbally, I start coughing, because it's like, what are you doing with your voice?
Yeah.
I should start singing to myself or something.
So Iva is asking, can you let me know the next live, please? If you're talking about these Maddie series, they're every Saturday, 11:30 my time, 3:30 Eastern time, and anything past that, you'll just have to Google it.
8:30 UK time.
8:30 UK. Well, she's in Tasmania.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And I don't want to sound like a certain person, but I don't know the time over there.
I was thinking exactly the same, and I'm thinking you really should make a note of it, but I couldn't say that because I couldn't correct you.
Yeah. Okay, hold on a second. So Happy Thoughts is saying, I would like to know the answer to Rev Green's question if Lizzie has time. Let me scroll up.
Of course I have time.
Does anybody know whose freezer Maddie was allegedly put in? I totally believe she was put in one. God, the thought she could have been is devastating. I've asked a few times. Lizzie, do you know? And I apologize, Rev Green, if I've never done that. So that's.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it, but I'm hoping.
Yeah, it's
basically. I need better glasses for this. That's what I'm going to blame it on.
Does anybody know whose freezer Maddie was allegedly put in?
Well, Gonzalo Amaral tends to believe that there was an apartment close by where the McCanns were known to visit. I've also mentioned that when there was questionable things happening, like Jerry going to Britain and losing his wallet and things like that, on his return, they were driving past an apartment where this chap was supposedly drunk, so they took him into his apartment or something of that nature. But unfortunately, the investigation wasn't able to follow through on it, and Gonzalo made a comment that I can't remember the comment, but yeah, so he does believe that. Now, we've got to keep in mind that there's those that believe something happened on Thursday night. There's those of us that believe something happened earlier. And if it happened earlier, and according to the cover dog and the blood dog, something happened behind the settee, into the bedroom, out onto the veranda where they found hairs, and down into the garden, it's very possible, if it was earlier in the week, that she was taken at that point to that fairly close freezer that Gonzalo Amaral tends to believe is possible. Now, I'm not so sure that that would have stayed there, because there was some very suspicious visits to what is known as the Triangle, which is down in the bottom left-hand corner near Sagres and Villa de Bispo and things like places like that. And I noticed, I continued to do like not a video diary, but a table diary. So every day I'd add everything I could from that day, what they were wearing, Jerry's blog, Kate's diary, what the police had said, what the newspaper said. I tried to do that right through to September, and the phone pings. And what I noticed in July, from I think the 19th through to about the 28th, is that most nights they were traveling to the Triangle for an hour, and then they'd come back in the evening. And I found that really odd. This was in July, just prior to when the dogs came. Now, they were alerted before the dogs came. And I think they arrived July 29th. They were alerted about the dogs coming. And one thing I noticed was these trips stopped on, I believe it was July 28th. And I don't know, it's just my thoughts that July 28th she may have been at that point in that area. And at that point, she was taken from that area on July 28th. I, of course, don't know. It's just a possibility, because the dogs arrived the following day, and a few days later, the car. And at the end of July, also, keep in mind that they left the truck open. The boot was left open to air it out, because Jerry's brother-in-law claimed that it was blood had come from the meat in the shopping, and they'd left it open for about a week, and neighbors saw it every night with the trunk open. So there was definitely something happening around July. But there isn't really anything we can actually specify, just putting together those instances. So yes, I believe there was a likelihood of, according to Gonzalo Amaral, that she was put in a freezer. Because the other thing to keep in mind, when the dogs alerted in the car, they alerted to, you can see Keela alerting to blood that's on the side of the car, but also there was an extension underneath the carpet. But also, and this is very odd, because we don't know a lot about it, but Martin Brandt has mentioned it. I do have the clip, but I'm not going to get it right now, where he says that the dogs have found 100% match in body fluids in the car. He said they don't know what body fluids. Gonzalo Amaral has mentioned about body fluids leaking over the tire onto the curb. Those body fluids we are not aware of in the forensic files. We only know about the blood in the actual car. So those body fluids could be, as he says, the result of, a body being put in the freezer and then with the warm temperatures. So remember, the intelligence of the investigation is tremendous. We just know, even 40,000 files, we just know a small portion of what happened and what they know. The intelligence they had every day, the night they arrived, everything that's been written down, every person they've spoken to, 200 people, I think, they spoke to in the area over the first few days. I mean, we don't know. I've estimated, and I would say we know about 5% of the details of what happened. But to go back, yes, I do believe she was put in a freezer, according to Gonzalo Amaral, and I do believe that she was transported in the truck, which led the dogs on the 30th. I can't remember the date of the actual car. When they did the car, but during the first week of August is when they alerted to the car. And there was more to it than just the blood that was found. But that's not in the files. That's just come from Gonzalo Amaral. Who I believe.
Angel Hart asked a question. Wasn't the apartment not allowed? Okay, my dogs are going to bark right now. Not allowed because it was someone's home rather than holiday apartment. That was actually what Happy Thought said. So Angel Hart said, wasn't there an apartment above to the left of the McCanns apartment that wasn't allowed to be searched?
Oh, you're talking about apartment J, the J place, I think. I think it was J, as opposed to the yeah, it was directly at the other end of the little walkway from Mrs. Fenn. And
okay.
yes, I believe
so what Happy Thoughts is saying is she's asking, wasn't that apartment not allowed because it was someone's home rather than a holiday apartment?
I think it was empty. And I believe there was stuff in the fridge. But I absolutely cannot give you any information that I ever came across to be of any value to anybody. That's just my thoughts. So I can't quote from any files. I do have a picture of the door. I mean, you know, I've got everything, you name it. But I've got a picture of the door, but I don't know what happened with that. I did it because there was a question. You're absolutely right. There was a question about that apartment. That's why I've got a picture of the door. Apart from that, I'm not, I can't tell you anything that I know. And I wish I could read easily some of the messages so that I could put some up, but I guess I'm going to have to get some new specs, because unless I really focus and concentrate,
yeah.
And of course I'm talking too much to focus and concentrate. Yeah, that was a lovely thing for Emily to say, you know, that about, I think it was Emily who said something about me being professional or something. I should get Amaral on somebody.
Emily and Kat have both been saying it. I mean, I'm sure we all would love it, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, golly. I was just going to... Yeah, I'm not going to put that up.
Uh-oh, what?
No, just one of Emily's comments. No, it's nothing. So, yeah, I just adore... Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And could I just say too, which I shouldn't really, but I'm going to, do I have, I found one, which I'm going to click on. Do I have Super Chat or PayPal? I will show you exactly that I don't have either, and I don't intend to ever get them on this channel. This is the Madeline channel, and as far as I'm concerned, there is zero money that I want to make from it. And I did show earlier, maybe, oh no, I've got to find comments. Geez, you got to keep going backwards and forwards here. That I don't intend or have any intention of making money on this channel. Absolutely not. Never have, never will. And I'm proud of it. And it's not just me. Everybody in the Maddie community. We don't want money. Madeline means more to us than just getting money from her. You know, it's just not right. And that's why anybody who does, and everybody, of course, most of you know why I have such, what's the word? There's a word. Maybe I'm not going to use that word right now, but when somebody is making money, and horrendous money, I want to do something about it. And whether it's Madeline or whether it's another child that's died, that's totally wrong, totally wrong. And I know that a lot of people actually do, you know, get a reasonable amount, you know, the odd super chat here, the odd PayPal here. But when you hear that somebody is making, I'm going to say it, close to $10,000 a month on children that have died, that's when I really, really get angry. And that's a lot of that is why I've been missing for a little while, because when somebody is doing that and using Maddie as well, I'm not okay with that. And as I say, I'm proud that all of us, the real people who care about Maddie, I'm not okay with anything. Hang on a sec. Can you talk a sec?
Yeah. So Rev, I see your comment. Sorry if there's a weird noise. I'm babysitting my sister's little tiny chihuahua, and she keeps sticking her nose on the microphone. So Rev Green, you said the happy thoughts. I would like to know if there's any suspicion of anyone. Was that in reference to the freezer?
Do they mean something like Christian Bruckner?
I'm not sure. I have to wait for them to reply back. Happy Thoughts replied, of anyone who had the freezer, ? So
okay, well, while we're waiting, and I've, as I mentioned before, in last week, you may, if you do want to know about the current German supposed suspect that has absolutely no evidence that he was even there that night, never mind being accountable. You might want to check last week's live, because I was dealing with Mark Selnokonoko's podcasts, and his new podcast coming out. They have released the first episode, which is They've Taken Her. That's the name of the podcast. Last year's podcast was called Maddie. And anyway, this one is called They've Taken Her, and they've released the first episode. And Mark has interviewed Hans Christian Wolters. I don't know. He's one of the people that speaks on behalf of the police, or is the police or the prosecutor or whatever. Sorry, I don't know. And this chap has no idea. When he was asked, they've claimed that this Christian Bruckner, they have that he killed Maddie. And they know this because he was in the Ocean Club at the time of Maddie's disappearance, and they have it on record that the tower, the phone tower in the Ocean Club, pinged on his phone, and that was him. He was there. Well, the reality of it is, as far as I know, I may be wrong, but there was only one Praia da Luz tower. Even if there's more, the fact is, he was then asked, well, there isn't one in the Ocean Club. Do you know the radius of the one that is in Praia da Luz, which is, I think, 2 kilometers or something? And he says, no, I didn't know. He knows nothing. He has no idea. And all of the information on this Christian Bruckner is based on a lot of, well, I kind of call it bull twaddle, but, you know, it is. So if you do have an interest in Christian Bruckner, you really must listen to that one podcast. You don't have to listen to me. Just go there and you can get the link from there, and that'll tell you.
Yeah,
And,
so really quick. So Rev Green said yes. The freezer. Sorry, I didn't mention. Then Happy Thought said, Cheryl, yep, it's. Oh gosh, I'm having a hard time reading today. Yep. Is there anyone suspect for whose freezer it could have been?
Oh, okay. So I launched off into Christian Bruckner. Oh well. I tell you something. As I say, I stuck to timelines, and I was so involved with those. But on the outside, there were other issues with other apartments. One of them was that Jane Tanner's DNA was found in one, and I never really took note of every name of each apartment and who they were referring to. So I'm really not knowledgeable enough. And we all know that Robert Murat was considered, but in my opinion, after all the research I did on him, and I've not done videos on him either, is that there is no way he was ever involved. That's my thoughts. And but anybody else? There was other apartments named, so I don't know if it was this one apartment that Gonzalo is claiming, or if it's one of the other apartments that were named. Somebody else might have more knowledge on it than me, and if I do come across it, maybe we could ask the question somewhere in HDH and see if anybody has the answers, or if somebody here knows. But that's not where I'm expertise on, obviously. But I do hate keeping you so long. So I think that's probably ball twaddle indeed. Yes, Emily. That's my word. You don't hear many words from me, but you will hear ball twaddle. I saved that one. I do want to mention, and I do have another channel now, and what that's based on is years ago, for many years, I was self-employed with 2 kids, and it was difficult because income was sporadic, particularly because most of my work was based outside. So and most people know when you don't have money, you tend to spiral. So even though you can cover enough to keep you going all week, you can never catch up. And so because of that predicament, I ended up in some situations which were quite extraordinary, with no water for 2 years, and electric and gas getting cut off, and all this. It's a good job my son likes scrambled eggs with peas, because I remember I used to use those, and some of the things I used to make, I remember. And Tam, my daughter, still remembers it to this day, and they were only about 4 or 5 or something, but I wanted to give them something special, and all I had was some flour. There was a little packet of a pizza mix, so there was the flour from the dough, and then I found I didn't have any sugar, so I remember using Coffee Mate. Anyway, I made these little things that were they looked supposedly like jam tarts, but they were like sponges. They were rubbery. And Tam still remembers them to this day. And I used to con them with things like I put pink food coloring into water and pretend it was soda, cream soda. And a bit of sugar. I was bad. I mean, it makes you, when you go through those times, it makes you really, especially when you've got kids, you really have to be innovative. So anyway, after about 10 years ago, I wrote what I call it a book. It's not a book. but it's how to cope with these situations. And I don't. It's not. I don't think anybody could call it a depressing book, because I managed to cope, and I did it in these really, really weird ways. And I wanted to. My brother made me promise that I would finish it and publish it in some way. And sadly, Ed died a couple of years ago, and I haven't, and I had no plans on doing that. So it suddenly occurred to me last week, a couple of weeks ago, I remembered going on an estimate in a hotel in Toronto near the airport, and there's this chap sat there that I knew. And as I'm talking to him, I'm telling him some of these stories, and all of a sudden he burst into tears. And I was like, whoa. And he admitted to me that he'd really suffered financially. He was on food stamps, and I'd made him feel better. And I've always remembered that. And at that moment, when I remembered this, and this was like a couple of weeks ago, when I actually decided to open the channel, and that was because of that. He inspired me for that. And it's a channel where I don't know where I'm going with it. I started to upload with text, then I started to upload with a bit of narration. And I thought, there's so many people going through some tough times that maybe it will help them in some way. And again, I don't care if it's only 10 people or whatever. I think I've got 18 subscribers now, mind. I don't care about that. It's just important to me to get that message out, and maybe do a live at some point, to go through and answer some questions, how you can cope with this. And also it's to expose how difficult it is for people that have got no money to cope, because people don't realize how much it costs. When you have a utility cut off, they don't just want the bill that's owing. They cut you off. They then add the next month's bill. They then add a deposit, and what was maybe 800 turns into 1,600. Deposit of 700. I mean, and people don't understand that. So that happened to me, and it was not because I wasn't caught up with. I was never cut off. My payments were up to date, but because I'd taken a little time and I finally paid the 1,400 that I owed, at that point, without cutting me off, they told me, we want a deposit from you of $800. And I was struggling anyway. We were in an old farmhouse, which took an extraordinary amount of electric and oil and stuff. And then I kept up to date with the actual electric, but I didn't pay the deposit. They turned me off in the fall, just before the winter, because what happened, we ended up, the kids were teenagers at that point. We ended up, I specifically remember one day seeing them go. They used to go and stay with their friends at the weekend. And I'm under 2 comforters with the 2 cats, and the actual, I think we had a 30-gallon fish tank that was frozen. Everything was frozen in the house because it was minus 15 in the house. And I was in contact with the assistant to the, John Baird was the energy minister, and his assistant was trying to help me. And he couldn't. The hydro was government-based hydro. He could not do a thing. When I was begging them, I mean, you would. Why wouldn't? How could they do that to anybody? And he tried to help. And when I phoned, the woman at the other end of the phone says, "Well, you buy a loaf of bread, you've got to pay for your bread. This is the same thing." Well, the point was, I'd paid for my electric. I just didn't have the deposit. I was turned off because of that. Now, that's a situation. How do you get out of that? And this is what a lot of people don't understand or realize when you are struggling through financial times, that it actually costs a lot more than what average people pay. And we all know that from when you can buy in bulk stores, you can get things cheaper than those of us that maybe have to, get a bus every day to go to the local store where they charge double. I mean, it's that kind of stuff. Anyway, sorry, I've rambled on there, but that's basically where my channel is heading. And I'd love it if you did want to pop over, if something like that, if you know anybody that could use a bit of a help to know how to cope with things, when you don't have this, what do you do? I've got loads of different things that I can tell you. So, and the channel is called Life in the Key of Happy, which kind of is I try to live by. Life is too precious, and under all circumstances, I absolutely believe that there's good in everyone. Life is good, and no matter what the circumstances you're under, it's okay to feel upset at points, but it's also okay to say, you know what, that's it. Let's look at what we do have and appreciate what you do have, and every day. So, oh golly, I've really gone on, haven't I? I'm sorry. But yeah, check out the channel.
It's your channel, Lizzie. You can talk as long as you want.
I know, but I didn't plan on. I was going to mention it maybe, but I didn't plan on doing what I do. Golly, I go on. It must be because I live alone, and I've got no cat to even yell at right now. And
I can loan you a cat or a dog.
Pardon?
I could loan you a cat or a dog.
Oh, that's funny. Because every time they were making a noise, I was thinking, is that another postman?
Well, no, because like I told you before, my dogs own the entire street. So if anybody just walks down the street, they have to make sure that they let them know that, they're allowing them to walk down the street. It's a weird Chihuahua thing. I don't know what it is.
Oh, my daughter had a Chihuahua monster.
Yes.
He didn't like me. I mean, I've obviously never done anything to him, but he had this thing with me. And it was quite traumatic when I think it was New Year, and I said, I'll look after him. Wow, it was. I had him with me overnight, and I'm like, I'm scared. He was lovely though. I mean, I got a video. Oh, he learned to like me after a while, but yeah, initially. So
yeah, that's pretty much how they are.
Mm. But again, I don't want to keep anybody anymore. And if you've got anything, please somehow let me know. If there's a topic that you want to cover. I have no idea on next week's topic, so I hope nobody's going to ask. It will come to me during the week. Tomorrow's my day off. After I'd finished here, it's like, I've got a day off now. I don't have to do it. And then I start to look at what we can plan for next week. So if there is any suggestions, I would love to hear them. And if there's any comments, or if you want to unlike, I mean, oh, I see 3 people don't like me. Oh, I wonder who that is.
we did give you a message. Carrie put a message in the chat too, just to let you know that RP left you a message under the promo for this.
Oh yeah.
That they would like you to take a look at. So that's just something to do after you're done here.
Okay, and I am. Let me tell you, I am the world's worst. Oh, I've already told you, I'm the world's worst for messages and emails. I rarely check my emails and comments. I've never been one for popping into comments and stuff. I should. I mean, crikey, that's not great to be announcing that, but I will. I'm going to make special effort to keep going back to them comments, and even if they're bad, I mean, you can say what you want to me. I think one, and I'm not sure if I took it the right way, but probably I did. They mentioned about me coughing. Well, yeah, I'm coughing. I'm allowed. I'm alive. I'm glad I'm coughing. So hopefully, but I do apologize. I mean, I'm not doing it hopefully directly in the screen. But yeah, and then if you don't hear me, I'm on mute and I'm having a quick cough. But yeah, anything you want to say. I mean, there's not much, if anything, that's going to upset me, and I really prefer to hear the things that give me a reason to question and to second guess myself or to make changes. So that would be good. And oh golly, I've left that up too long, haven't I? See, I wasn't even thinking. I've left that doohickey thing, and now I've got to find it. And I was just going to say that it won't let me do it. It won't let me get rid of it.
It's froze on there now.
Okay, I think I'm getting there. Brand. Okay, there we go. Okay, now you can see me and and I've mentioned it before. I think in Salty's live. That's not me now. I've been testing some pictures because I don't like pictures taken right now because I'm old. So I was going through, and that was a picture taken, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago. And I was doing a job, and it's actually a picture with this strange chap who came and stood next to me, and we got a picture while I was working on somebody's garage door. So I really don't know who he is. He wasn't, I don't know, but if somebody wants a picture, there's me. But yes, so that's not me. Don't think for a second that I'm that young. I'm not in my 80s though. I've been quoted as being in my 80s.
Yeah, he does like to say that, doesn't he?
Somebody who doesn't like me claims that, there's this person who does this. She's in her 80s,
80-year-old woman living in a basement or something. Yeah.
Well, and I'm living in a basement. Nothing wrong with that. But, oh no, I'm not just 80. I was in my 80s. I'm actually 70. And happy. A great generation I went through from 1950 when we were still on rations, went through the hippie times and Woodstock, and then into the 70s and all that happened in the moon landings and all that happened in the 70s through to thinking that because my dad on his phone was able to click a button and dial directly through to somebody. Oh no, leave a voice thing, and he could automatically get my brother in England. But he used to do that, and I think he called the police once. But anyway, technology, and then all of a sudden the technology of phones, mobile phones, computers hitting, and all the music from 1950 up to now. I mean, I've just been so lucky. Everything. It's a great generation to have lived in, and I'm really happy. So, and I told my kids years ago, I said, don't you ever worry about me dying, because I'm going to hang on till I'm at least 97, like my dad. I said, by that time, now I used to go to karaoke a lot. I said, by that time, I'll have my own group. But what I discovered was I didn't mention what kind of group.
Right.
Now I've got a Facebook group. I guess I'm, that's
Facebook and a YouTube group. You didn't lie.
Yeah. Do you know what? Why isn't there a little place that we can congregate? They haven't kind of established that as that would be great if we could have our own little YouTube groups. Where we could all congregate, because if we lose people that are in chat, where do they go? How do we contact them?
Don't know.
Yeah. Well, think about it, Shirley, and that's for next week.
That'll be my homework. I wrote it down with my note paper. I wrote it down.
That's good. And since I was ready to leave, I think it's been about an hour. So I will definitely say goodbye for now and thank everybody, all the mods. Happy thoughts, Kerry, Cherry for doing a bit over the other side, Suzanne for wanting to be a mod.
She'll get around to it.
Hannah, and actually, you know, I mean, I know some of them couldn't be here now, but they're always here for me, and that's Melissa and Claire and Helen and I've forgotten it. Of course, Hannah.
Hannah.
Yeah.
Helen is here. Helen is
Yeah,
here.
yeah. Oh, is Hannah here?
Helen's here.
Yeah, I've said Helen.
Yeah.
And is Hannah here?
No, Hannah and Claire and Melissa aren't here.
Oh, okay. But that's okay because it's Saturday night and they're doing something that's good, and that's, I'm happy about that. Because we can't commit. I mean, there's, you know, I don't even expect people to really watch it. I love getting people here. But
just really, really quick, I just have to tell you, JD says you look lovely for 70.
No, he hasn't seen my picture when I'm 70.
That's just say thank you and move on.
Oh, thank you, JD.
Take the compliment.
Well, actually, I'm going to quickly mention, which we have discussed, that on Christmas Day, every year, at 10 o'clock in the morning, my mum and dad and I used to have a little toast to my brother in England. And he would, likewise, because it was 3 o'clock his time, he'd have a toast that end. And I've continued that tradition. I've added a few people on, sadly, those that we've lost. I've also added a few people, like the lady in the hospital that I met, and for some reason told her I'd have a toast to her on Christmas morning, but I don't know who she is, but I still have that toast for her. And what I thought was, I'm wondering whether maybe we could do a little live for everybody who wants to have a toast to their loved ones, whether they're around, you know, past, anybody we think about, and we'd love to, you know, give them a public recognition, because I don't know what it is. It just makes it so special when you can actually tell about somebody in public, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, and if you want to come up as a guest or just mention it in chat and we can read the names out. I don't know. We've just kind of gone over that, hadn't we, Shirley? And I'd really love to do that. So all of you keep in mind that. And if I don't see you again, remember 10 o'clock Christmas morning in Canada Eastern Standard Time, 8:30 in 3 o'clock UK time, and probably pardon.
I just said sorry. Something you said made my Alexa go off, and she's like, "Sorry, I'm not sure."
Okay. Well, it's going to be about 6 o'clock, I think, in the morning for you, and that means if you're going to join in, and it has to be sherry. It has to be this little glass of sherry, right? And my kids every year they say, "Oh, Mom."
I have a lot of alcohol, but I don't have sherry.
Okay, well, we'll let you off if you haven't got sherry, but 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 6 in the morning. I'll be, whatever it is, it's probably going in some coffee too. So,
well, that's okay. We'll maybe let you off, but yeah, I'd love to do that, and I would love if others would do that. And let's remember, let's enjoy Christmas. You don't have to. You can come in and pop in and whatever. You don't have to stay, but you know, just I think a little get together for those, for everybody to just remember those that we miss.
Yeah,
and probably a lot of people right now. You know, there could be a lot of people that even want to acknowledge it publicly, and you know, and don't do FaceTime or something, but just want to pop on here and maybe mention it in chat and tell, you know, who knows? I haven't figured it out. I've been looking at Christmas backgrounds, You know, we're trying to find a good old Christmas background. Poor Shirley, she had to go through it again. Shirley and Carrie really have to put up with me, I tell you. And
it's just because of the time difference. I'm one of the, that's what I said, I'm one of the last ones to the party, and I'm one of the last ones to leave. I always get somewhere late. You know, you guys have been chatting for hours, and I get on and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've got 157 messages. But then at night, I'm the last one just throwing out messages, and nobody's answering me because I'm the only one awake.
Well, I've been awake the last few nights. Have you noticed? Because
yes,
I was working on all these videos. I was up till 7 this morning, and I kept popping in, and I could see you were around. Yeah. But this is, I just love this. This is our Christmas.
Yeah,
this
I like that one.
Christmas thing. I just love it. So I'll let you all go. Thank you so much. I think I've covered all the mods, because I tell you, without them, all these people that hate me that come in and make nasty comments, they can get rid of them, you see. So
yeah, there was nothing tonight. There was somebody that came in and put a bunch of emojis in there, but that was just being silly. I just deleted it. But the past couple of weeks, you haven't even got any haters. I don't know what you're doing right, but keep it up.
No, you know what that means is they can't even be bothered to come over to me. Well, three of them can, unless I haven't refreshed and it's gone up. But 3 of them have come in to give me the thumbs down.
Well, they give you the thumbs down, but they don't bother the chat, and that's cool. That's fine.
Yeah, I don't mind. You're allowed not to like me. You know, I've got lots of people that don't like me, and I really bug them. But you know,
you and me both.
That's okay. Everybody's allowed to. I mean, crikey, wouldn't it be weird if we all liked everybody?
No,
you know,
that would not be. I wouldn't like that at all.
No. So we have to have those that we can dispute with. But anyway, oh golly, it's that last goodbye I always have trouble with.
You're just gonna have to say goodbye and click.
I must go. Now, I made the mistake before of just leaving studio, and it kept going. So now I've learned through experience that there's a big red button at the top that says end broadcast.
Yeah, that works.
Okay. I'm going to say goodbye, but I'm going to leave you with, I nearly forgot, because this was important to me too, especially as Christmas is coming up. But you don't need to, you can leave. You don't need to stay. But back in 2011, when we were supporting Gonzalo, I got to it was coming up for Christmas. So I got together with everybody and said, you know, if you want to send a message to him, then please do. And I'll put it onto a video, which I did. So I'm going to say goodbye. I'm not going to end the broadcast. I'm just going to leave the messages going. And you might be one of the ones that sent those messages back then, or you might remember a lot of the names of the people that sent it. So I want to thank everybody. Absolutely. Thank you for putting up with me and coming here. Thank you, Shirley, for everything you've done. And thanks to everybody. And also keeping in mind that this would not happen if it wasn't for our Chris and Kim. And let's move on with some messages. So here we go. Say goodbye, Shirley.
Goodbye.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
When you're down and troubled and you need a helping hand, and nothing is going right, close your eyes and think of me, and soon I will be there to brighten up even your darkest night. You just call up come running. Oh yeah, baby, to see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall. Now all you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. You've got a friend. If the sky above you should turn dark and full of clouds, and that old north wind should begin to blow, keep your head together and call my name out loud now. Soon I'll be knocking upon your door. You just call up my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running. Oh yes, I will see you again. Winter, spring, summer, or fall, yeah. All you got to do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, ain't it good to know that you got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you. Well, they'll take your soul if you let them. Oh yeah, but don't you let them. Just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, see you again. Oh baby, don't you know about winter, spring, summer, or fall? Hey, now all you've got to do is call, and I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. Hey, ain't it good to know that you got a friend when people can be so cold? They'll hurt you and desert you. Well, they'll take your soul if you let them. Oh yeah, but don't you let them. You just call out my name, and you know wherever I am, I'll come running, see you again. Oh baby, don't you know about winter, spring, summer, or fall? Hey, now all you've got to do is call. Lord, I'll be there, yes I will. You've got a friend. Ain't it good to know you got a friend? Ain't it good to know you got a friend?